What is happening, guys? Happy Sunday and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On this week's show, we are going to review week one of the Dynasty fantasy football world. It is our final Sunday, but it's the first Sunday of the NFL season. And with me, as always, is my co-host. You know him better as the man of the hour and the man with the power, Jerry Sinclair, buddy. Happy Christmas. I mean, it's not like Christ's birthday. It's not like Christmas, but if you're into football, this is Christmas.
This is one of the premier holidays on the American sporting calendar. Week one, NFL season, fantasy football begins. Most of our teams are playing today. It's days like today that we dreamt about for months, my friend. Randall, how are you?
Short of the Colts losing,
they looked okay though.
The problem is it's the defense. It's Gus Bradley. It's the defense. I think they have the dudes. I don't think they have the scheme. But we're not an IDP podcast. We're going to do a big show this week. Like I said in the intro, this is our last Sunday of the year. We're moving to Wednesdays. And if you're watching live on Player Profiler, you will soon realize that Wednesday night at Player Profiler is going to be packed, elbow to elbow, with nothing but goodness, and especially Wednesday night, Jerry, now, because we're going there, Jerry. We're going to Wednesday night, but we're in a manwich. We're in a sexy manwich. We're sandwiched right in between Jason Allwine. He's going to be on from 7 to 8 on Wednesdays. You and me from 8 until 9. And then after us at 9 p.m., it's Bradley Stalder.
Listen,
can't beat it. That's a great 3 hours of fantasy football.
It is, but also the meat in the sandwich is always the best part of the sandwich. Let's be honest here. And
that's true.
If there is some prime grade A meat, it's you and me, buddy.
100%. The people's pick. Well, I'll tell you what else the people have been picking. It is our sponsor for this segment of the show. That's Smash Up Sports.
Oh, it's the Podfather, and last year's fastest growing fantasy platform is back. It's Smash Up Fantasy. They've got these leagues where you redraft your team every week and you get smarter as the season progresses. Now, Smash Up also has a patented power-up card. These are actual cards that can boost your individual players or your entire team. So if you think Lamar Jackson's going to run wild all over the Kansas City Chiefs in week one, play the Scramble Spikes Smash Up card to turbocharge his rushing points. And that's not all. Smash Up also is introducing the world's first single-player fantasy game. Think Street Fighter meets fantasy football, where you can go toe-to-toe versus an increasingly difficult fantasy football boss and qualify for the postseason tournament of champions. So test your skills against me, the Podfather, and the Player Profiler team today at smashupsports.com and use code PlayerProfiler. The code is PlayerProfiler to get special perks like extra lineups for these weekly tournaments and so much more. And it's all free at smashupsports.com.
Free is good.
Free is always good.
Now, you're a millennial.
True.
You grew up with Pokemon.
I was not a Pokemon master, but yes.
You are familiar. It has some notes of Pokemon in there.
Little bit.
Little bit. Well, listen, we're already through the intro. We're already through our ad spot. So we can go ahead and get into good people, bad tweets. Now, Jerry, did you see the thumbnail for tonight's show?
I did not.
You did not see the thumbnail on YouTube. Well, if you're listening to the audio podcast on Wednesdays, the audio podcast is also moving. Because, see, I can't drop the podcast on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. if I don't record the show with Jerry until Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. You see how that works? Unless my name's Marty McFly or I got a flux capacitor in the Tacoma, it's going to be moving to 6 a.m. on Thursday mornings. But if you're listening to this audio podcast and you've not seen the thumbnail, go to YouTube, Player Profiler, go under the live streams tab, go to Sunday. That is the day we recorded this show, and you will see the Dynasty WarZone thumbnail. And you will see a picture of Saquon Barkley in his Eagles green jersey and the clown emoji, Jerry. Now you have to visualize it, but Jerry, when I asked Brittany, shout out Brittany, the thumbnail artiste that does all of our thumbnails for the Dynasty WarZone. She is amazing. Jerry, when I say those two things, where do you think the genesis of Saquon Barkley and a clown emoji comes from?
I am going to guess you are the clown here, buddy, because you have been very skeptical of one Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia.
Well, that's going to take us to our good people, bad tweets, because this was shared with us with our own Jesse Schneeman. Now, Jesse hosts the Dynasty War Games on our podcast feed. So if you're only following audio version on Player Profiler, check out the Dynasty WarZone channel on, Apple, Google, whatever, Spotify, whatever you listen to. And we have a sister show called the Dynasty War Games. Well, Jesse sent this to me, and I'm going to play about 40 seconds of it. Now, luckily, it can't be copywritten because we're not going to stream the video. But, Jerry, are you ready?
Yep, shoot.
I have a bust. It is a guy who has had over 1,005 yards twice in 6 years. He hasn't had over 350 yards receiving in 4 years. He averaged 3.9 yards per carry last year. He's being drafted right now, ADP 4 among running backs. His name is Saquon Barkley. And I understand he's going to a brand new offense, much better line. They're going to run the ball. Saquon Barkley is not that dude. He was drafted with the second overall pick, and general manager at the time, Dave Gettleman, saying we want to get a Hall of Fame guy with our second pick. And New York media.
Well, there's about half of the tweet. I don't want to play all of it. Maybe I'll retweet it, so if you just heard it, you can see it live. But Jerry, what are your thoughts when you hear those comments? Because I'm going to tell on myself in a minute.
Listen, if you wanted to say that you didn't want to rely on Saquon Barkley because he's been banged up for a lot, but no, you guys, you can eat the crow. That guy can eat the crow. Listen, I mean, he's an older guy. I don't know how long he's going to be in the league, Saquon, that is, but it's a good offense. They want to keep Jalen Hurts upright, which is why they brought the dude in there, and he proved it. Maybe the problem was the absolutely dysfunctional offense that is the New York Football Giants. And I think we are starting to see that. Because Saquon, he made you look dumb, Randall, and he made that guy look dumb too.
And the bad thing is I don't need the help.
No.
I had all of the same fears. I was more concerned with the tush push and Jalen Hurts eating up the touchdowns, which he didn't. And I was worried about Saquon Barkley not being involved in the passing game, which he was. So while that guy's a clown, I'm the bigger clown. But I don't feel as bad because it's one game, and I don't know that I'd still want him to be my RB1 on a dynasty team. But
Fair.
I am owning this. I'm calling myself the clown in the thumbnail. But Saquon, we may actually see, because remember when Saquon came out, he was him, as the kids say, him.
He was
him. Big quad Saquon, number 2 overall in the draft. Dude was a stud, absolute stud. And he went to what could have been maybe the worst situation for him to go to, at least one of the worst, which is what usually happens when you get drafted number 2 overall. But the Giants let this guy walk. He walked to a division rival with a much better quarterback, good weapons around him. The offensive line, I don't think it's as good as it was last year, especially with Kelsey retiring. But Barkley's going to be just fine. And if you're contending in a dynasty league, you have to absolutely love what you've seen, Jerry.
Yeah. I mean, 100%.
So go look at the thumbnail, because you should admire Brittany. And as a matter of fact, if you're watching on YouTube right now, comment in there how nice Brittany's graphic arts are. She nailed it for me. So Barkley's on the thumbnail and I'm on the thumbnail. The clown is proxy for me on the thumbnail. And in this case, I'm giving myself Dana White.
Cocaine isn't cheap. It's expensive. Got to make money.
Thanks, Dana.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently I'm on drugs. But you know what I will say about cocaine, Jerry?
It's a hell of a drug.
Well, it is. I don't really like cocaine. I just like the smell of it. Anyway, let's jump on to the body of the show. And we're just going to go game by game. Jerry, we're going to go game by game, and we're going to give you one dynasty takeaway. We're going to go about 3-ish minutes per game. And we're going to start with Thursday night, the opener. A lot of storylines, Jerry. There was the Xavier Worthy. There was Mark Andrews. There was Isaiah Likely, Derrick Henry. So much went on in that game. What was your dynasty takeaway?
Jaden Reed has a big ding dong.
Wrong game. We're going to do that one in a minute. We're still doing Chiefs Ravens.
Oh, my bad. I got too excited. Xavier Worthy. How else are you going to talk about anybody else? I mean, he's a rookie. He was extremely polarizing. Bro had 2 touchdowns. He looked unbelievably explosive. Looked good in the run game. I mean, Rashee Rice is the guy who's going to catch just an ungodly amount of targets. But, dude, I mean, Xavier Worthy looked explosive, and I looked stupid. I was worried. That the hype was getting too much for the man. He looked the part, Randy. And it's wild. As far as the Ravens are concerned, Derrick Henry was fine. Like, he got the touchdown, which is cool, but didn't blow anybody's doors off. As far as, like, the pass catchers there, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, how you doing, buddy? That said, I think that boy is an easy sell. Easy sell.
Do you buy that
Isaiah Likely is going to be worth a damn? No.
I think he could be. Do you buy that Mark Andrews is hurt?
Probably
from the car wreck that he was in.
Probably, but do I also think do I think he's cooked? No. If he did exactly what Isaiah Likely did next week, would I be surprised? Not at all. Listen, I'm flipping Isaiah Likely before next week if I got him. Like, what do we think the guy who's in a low volume passing offense with Mark Andrews still there is going to do consistently? 500-yard ceiling. And what can you trade for him right now based on that explosive game that you just saw? A shitload more than a tight end that's going to get you 500 yards. Easy flip.
And I believe he is currently your tight end 1 on the season.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to hit you with 2. Remember earlier in the offseason when I said it was time to unload Travis Kelce in Dynasty, even in tight end premium? Like if you're a super contender, I get it. But what I call him, Grandpa's Corvette. And they're going to use him sparingly when they need him. Now, that doesn't mean that he's not going to have huge games here. But the days of him dominant, how many targets do you think he had?
Not many.
Another part of the equation. Patrick Mahomes had 28 attempts. So how many targets did Travis Kelce have?
5.
3. Excuse me, 4. 4. He caught 3. That's just a side note. It's like if you let's say you're one of those rare GMs that you have both Travis Kelce and maybe 2 years ago you drafted Trey McBride and you can roll with Trey McBride and you can get out of Kelce. I still want out of the Kelce business. Let him have anything close to a Kelce game. You're getting out of the Kelce business. The one that I want to talk about, my takeaway is Rashee Rice. We've been saying this for as long as we've been doing the podcast, Jerry. As long as you and I have been doing the podcast, do not overreact to off-season news. We can go back to Tyreek Hill. We can go back to Alvin Kamara. There are so many examples of guys doing, and I'm not saying Kareem Hunt's another guy. Guys that do knuckleheaded dumbness, but this is Dynasty. This isn't seasonal, right? Worst case scenario, what was he going to get? 3 games? 6 games? And it's great that they brought in Hollywood Brown. They brought in Juju, and I think Worthy is more of a best ball play for me. But, dude, Rashee Rice, 9 targets. 40% snap share. I'm sorry, 35% snap share. I'm just doing a little math in my head. You kidding me? First round wide receiver, Travis Kelce, and you demanded 9 out of 28 targets? Hello.
And he was the first option early in that game too. So clearly the scheme is built to go through him. So
I think he's going to be a volume machine.
I agree. He's not. I don't think he's ever going to rip the roof off for you. But if you want somebody that's going to be very steady, I think he's going to be the guy in that offense for sure.
And the best part for you as a Dynasty GM, if you're listening to this on Sunday evening, or maybe you're listening on Wednesday morning, you're far enough away now from the Rashee Rice game on Thursday that you might be able to get him in a deal. All right, I want to go to the game where you were talking about Jaden Reed. And
yeah, sorry guys. The Lions are on in the corner, so I'm a little distracted.
Yeah, and I want to bring that up. The Fantasy Plumber in the YouTube chat said, "Unbelievable, Memphis." I love this. Memphis is making Jerry work right now, sir, Mr. Plumber, sir. We would already be doing Wednesday nights if it wasn't for Jerry. But hey, we've moved the schedule, but he's working tonight because he needed to go tonight. So I'm acquiescing. I am the one who is helping Jerry out. But anyway, Jaden Reed, he plays for Green Bay Packers. They played the Eagles in Brazil, of all places. Jerry, what was your Dynasty takeaway from this?
I mean, Jaden Reed was awesome. I had my worries in the offseason because Jaden Reed had like 700 yards and like 10 touchdowns. I was worried that he was very touchdown dependent. And he came out there and he looks like he's absolutely the guy. Yeah, Christian Watson scored a touchdown. I think that was his only catch. And the Romeo Dubes of the world and the Dontavian Wickses of the world and even the Josh Jacobs of the world did not accumulate enough of that offense to make me sweat Jaden Reed because Jaden Reed is the guy. As for the Eagles, A.J. Brown's good. Devonta Smith looked pretty good. Saquon Barkley just let it hang. I mean, that looks like it's a team that's well on its way to getting things going. You know, I don't know exactly what the Packers are, and we lost Jordan Love. So I would be stunned if he is gone, if they don't bring in someone like Ryan Tannehill. It seems like that's an easy person to just plug in. But
this is why Jerry is here. Occasionally, it's like a dog, like a blind dog finds a warm spot on the sidewalk. That was that nugget. Dude, Ryan Tannehill, it's funny. He came out like literally like the same day or the day after Love got hurt and said he's ready. And that's a very quarterback-friendly offense. We've seen it 100 times, that McVay-Shanahan offense that Matt LaFleur runs there in Green Bay. Good weapons. And Ryan Tannehill at this point in his career, is it impossible for him to come in and have a Joe Flacco type moment?
No, 100% he could. And honestly, with everything that he's been working with in Tennessee for the longest time, this is a blessing for him.
Well, I outside of Saquon Barkley just pulling out his enormous penis and hitting me in the face with it over and over again.
Well deserved, though.
I earned that penis slap, but I feel really good about all my Jaden Reed because I've been the member of this podcast family who's been saying all offseason, go get Jaden Reed. He's the one. Jaden Reed, not Dubes, not Watson, Jaden Reed. The little extra nugget that I'll throw in there from the Packers is I still want Luke Musgrave to be a thing. Probably not going to be a thing.
No,
one of our patrons shared in our group chat today that the snaps the other day were like 60 for Kraft and 17 for Musgrave. Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem. Snap volume. That's a problem. I'm going to go in tight end premium. Is going to go look for cheap Tucker Kraft.
South Dakota State University Jackrabbits, buddy.
What a team name. All right, let's go to one of the Sunday 1:00 games. Buffalo Bills hosted the Arizona Cardinals. Jerry, what was your Dynasty takeaway from this particular game?
I would just like to say that this Josh Allen cat is still very good with Stephon Diggs not there. 2 tutties running the ball, 2 tutties passing the ball. Everybody looked pretty good. I mean, Keon Coleman came in as a rookie. We were talking about it in the Patreon. 4 catches on 5 targets. I mean, that's looking good. Can't complain. As far as the Cardinals are concerned, Kyler Murray did about what Kyler Murray does. He got you 40 to 50 yards rushing. He passed enough for you to get some points, but nothing that sets the world on fire. He had a fumble that screwed him. Trey Benson, Randy, not a lot of work in this game. Seems like it was the old grandpappy James Conner who's just going to stick around and keep sticking it to all the new dynasty players who just think every rookie is going to tear the world apart.
Yeah, that was kind of my biggest note. We always do our patron podcast before we go live on YouTube for Player Profiler. And that was my big note on the day in general is the rookies just didn't set the world on fire, especially the quarterbacks. For me, my takeaway from this game is concern in the pass game for the Cardinals. You know, you and I were talking about this. Kyler, you know, Jerry, like I said, if I had told you that these two teams were going to score a combined 62 total game points, what kind of day would Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Kyler Murray had?
You know, you would have thought it was an awesome game.
And Marvin Harrison Jr., 1 catch for 4 yards on 3 targets. At least if you're Trey McBride, you can take something away from the fact that he had 9. He had 9 total targets, caught 5.
He did fine. He did like in a tight end premium. If I can get 5 catches out of a tight end, that's a win.
And if that's a bad game for him, that's great. So 9 targets. I mean, I hate the extrapolation game because it's just lazy. That's on pace for 153 targets.
That's what I mean. He did fine. It's the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing, like the plumber said. That's the egregious part.
And Greg Dortch had 8 targets.
Yeah, and like, what are we talking? Like Greg Dortch, Wake Forest, I think, like a super late round pick. Like, come on.
It was great. Michael Wilson had a touchdown pass.
He did. That was about it. I saw it and I thought of you as soon as I did.
We probably could go into Dalton Kincaid, but that was my big takeaway was the Cardinals and the distribution of targets. All right, we'll
better days ahead, I think, for
Marvin
Harrison Jr. But it was still something to be alarmed at that maybe the world is not going to get set on fire this year.
Well, part of it is they got up like 17-3.
Yeah,
and for whatever reason, it felt like they started to try to take the air out of the ball a little bit. And then Josh Allen, you know, speaking of hitting people in the head with his penis, that's what Josh Allen did.
Yes, he did.
And we saw how that game wound up. Bills win. Let's go to Indianapolis. That's where I live. Colts lost by 2 to the Texans. Jerry, dynasty takeaway from Colts Texans.
Anthony Richardson didn't get hurt, did he? He played the whole game, right?
He did. First NFL start that he both started and finished.
Okay. I mean, that is obviously a good sign. Also, he looked pretty good. I mean, I saw the 1 touchdown he had Alec Pierce, I think it was. I mean, he sort of stumbled, recovered, and then relaunched it. Super impressive. So down for that. Jonathan Taylor was not efficient at all. He got the touchdown to save you if you have him. I have a lot of Jonathan Taylor, so I appreciated it. But yucky ducky. Also, Michael Pittman, just another ho-hum game. Got the 4 catches, so he'll give you that little bit of baseline for a full point PPR league, but 31 yards will really piss you off. As far as the Texans, you know, here, I saw somebody tweeted it. I actually did some homework today. All right. So this is from Dwayne McFarland at Dwayne McFarland on Twitter. Texans week 1 route participation and targets. Nico Collins, 84% route participation, 26% of targets. Stephon Diggs, 90% routes, 19% targets. Tank Dell, 87% routes, 23% of the targets. So 26, 19, and 23% of all the targets went to those 3, which just shows me that it's going to be a who's who all season. Every single person in there is schemed. Every single person in there is looked at. There is no alpha. Stephon Diggs got the tutties. Nico Collins got the yards, but Tank Dell had some opportunities today too. It's going to be a tough situation. They're all going to have a nice floor, I think, and one guy will probably have a worse game than the other 2, but everybody should be okay. CJ Stroud, he's fine. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna be what he's gonna be.
That was my takeaway and this actually came up in conversation in one of our oldest dynasty group chats, the GOAT leagues, with all of our friends, Dan Williamson, the guys over there. And that was my take. And I've never been down on CJ Stroud. I just want to make sure we're not getting head over heels for CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
This is how DeMeco Ryans wants to win football games, guys. And if CJ Stroud's giving you 250 and 2, he actually had 232 and 2, rushed for 13 yards. So if that's what he's giving you, couldn't I just go get Jared Goff way cheaper? Go get Jared Goff and like a mega receiver. If you're fine, if you walk away from today's game going, hey, I'm totally fine. But when he doesn't bring that rushing component, it's hard to put him in that echelon of a Josh Allen, of a Lamar, even a Lamar Jackson. I think at this point, like if you're in, I'm not talking for real football, guys. There's a difference between dynasty and fantasy football and real football. We're going to get to that when we talk about Jaden Reed here in a minute. But just to put it out there, I'm not concerned because he's going to be fine. But I don't think he has top 5 at the position upside. I'm just going to say that. I don't think I think this team is good enough. They'll get ahead. They'll stay ahead with that defense and DeMeco Ryans. And I think you're going to get a lot of 250s and 2s, Jerry.
Yeah. But that's good enough for a nice young guy. Like, you're happy with that. We have to talk about Joe Mixon real quick, because Joe Mixon looked like he is just not going to age, and clearly a focal point of this offense. They want to run the ball. Joe Mixon is built to run this ball. I mean, he had 180 yards. I mean,
yeah, I don't think 30 rush attempts are coming.
No,
every single game.
But with how well he was doing, there was no reason not to keep doing it, because he was just getting chunk run after chunk run.
Well, part of that's Gus Bradley.
I watched a lot of football today. It was great. Usually I don't have Sundays off. Oh my God. How do you guys do this every day? You just are the happiest people in the world all the time.
I will tell you, I've lived both sides of this life, because I worked in retail for the longest time before I switched to what I do now. And yeah, I can completely understand how having the occasional Sunday off feels very good. I'll tell you who doesn't feel very good. The Bengals got beat. Now, I used to host the gambling podcast here, and I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I did anything right, but Matt and Theo and the guys at PlayerProfiler, because I had some people reach out over the weekend about, hey, are you doing the Juice, the gambling podcast? And Matt and Theo just really wanted to narrow the focus of what PlayerProfiler is. It's dynasty, it's seasonal, it's best ball. So I can completely get behind that. We'll figure that out. But one of the things I used to do on the Juice, Jerry, was a segment where we talked about Survivor. Who's going to be the Survivor picks for the week? We talked about Circus Survivor because it's the largest Survivor contest in the world. And I believe the prize this year is like in the $9-10 million range, Jerry.
Jesus.
30, I'm gonna round up. I think it was 34.8, 35% of all Survivor entries at Circa in their multi-million dollar contest had Cincinnati. How about that?
Wow.
You were like one of 10,000, and now you could be one of like 6,000. You instantly just picked up a shitload of equity. My takeaway in this game is I have concerns around the Bengals, and it has nothing to do. We have our boy the plumber in the YouTube chat. It has very little to do with Jamar Chase or T. Higgins having, illnesses and tight hamstrings. This offense does not look good. Will it turn around? Should it turn around? Absolutely. I think it was one of the better points I've made, and I made it on the patron version of the podcast about teams that invest more in the offseason. And as far as competing in reps for starters, with the Patriots being one of them, and what do you know, they went out and won today on the road. I didn't really take away a lot from this game in general from a dynasty perspective. Good to see Mike Gesicki out there, I guess.
Yeah, he actually had a touchdown called back too. It was a good catch.
Well, he body slammed. He like OPI'd the guy. Like,
yeah.
they're shoving off and they're knocking a guy's ass in the dirt.
I mean, As far as Dynasty is concerned with this game, Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the focal point of the Patriots. Whether it's Drake May, whether it's Jacoby Brissett, it's clear that that guy is going to be the guy. And that is a person that I have not acquired a ton of. I have not been favorable for. He is simply not going away. He is going to be the guy. As far as the running backs in Cincinnati, Chase Brown got 3 carries. Zach Moss got 9. Zach Moss is going to be your one. He's never going to do anything good for you. He got you a touchdown if you happen to start him. I don't think the Bengals are going to be as bad as they were today because Joe Burrow was actually sort of efficient, just not. No chunk plays. Everything was super vanilla. Everything was boring. It was like they thought they were just going to win that game, so they didn't try to win. They just showed up. Ew.
I will say I agree with a fair part of that. You know, they didn't play a bunch in the preseason, so this is almost like preseason game 1. So if they looked kind of bad, I can get behind that. I will say I agree with you on Ramondre. He was someone that when he signed that extension in the offseason, because it was a brand new regime, right? New head coach, new general manager, and they gave him a 3-year deal. That tells you about the faith they have in him. And I like your call about them running more of the offense through him. I mean, the guy had 25 carries. Let's get to the Sam Darnold Bowl. My boy Sam. At one point, he was like 12 for 12 for like 100 and some odd yards and a touchdown. As efficient gets, Jerry. What were your takeaways from this game?
He looked good. I mean,
he looked really good. I mean, and on the road, hostile New York crowd,
100%. And Aaron Jones looked good. I mean, if there was a person that I did not think was going to show up and just be that good, I really didn't think it was going to be Aaron Jones. But I mean, he had almost 100 yards. He got you a score. Sam Darnold looked good, and he diversified pretty well. You know, he doesn't overly target Justin Jefferson, which is sort of what I wanted to see because I have an ungodly amount of Justin Jefferson. But, you know, he still got me a touchdown, which I appreciated. And he got Jalen Naylor a touchdown, another Spartan dog. Thank you. Sam Darnold looks fine. Sam Darnold looks like if you've got Sam Darnold, I think you can play him and you're going to be good. And I think Minnesota is going to be much more efficient than people thought, and I think it is going to create a controversy about 300 days from now.
Oh, I could easily see with as good as this defense is going to be, because this defense looked really good on the road. Now, there's going to be plenty of division games, you know, the Bears, the Lions, the Packers. We know there's going to be division games. There's going to be some ups and downs for this team. But this is exactly the offense that I wanted to see Sam Darnold in. An efficient offense that he doesn't have to feel like he has to do all that. And we have Crispy in the comments. He's like, Darnold isn't that good. You're right. But there's been a lot of...
Yeah, when he showed up for this game, did we think he was going to go 19 for 24 with 2 tutties?
On the road?
And they were going to kick the piss out of him? No, like that is good. I mean, I'm not saying he's God, but I mean, that's better than I thought the dude was going to do. I mean, Randy's been circle jerking Sam Darnold since like 2019, so I'm not surprised he likes him.
Whoa. No, listen, I've always, Sam Darnold taught me so much about being a better dynasty gamer that I can't not love Sam Darnold. But remember, they got up huge. And you were worried about the volume for Jefferson and Addison. You know, Hawkinson will be back fairly soon. They won't always get up like 21-6.
No, of course not.
And then that will be a he'll be like a nice bye week fill in with Sam. Sam's going to be fine. He's not all that. Let's go one more before a break. Let's go Titans Bears, Jerry. This one right here looked ugly. Looked ugly for a while. Very ugly for a while. The Bears came back and won by a tutty, so they covered the spread. But Jerry, help me understand what you saw from this game.
I saw 2 bad teams. That's what I saw. The Bears, I wanted to see the offense. We got Keenan Allen. We got Rome Odunze. We got Caleb Williams coming to town. We got DJ Moore. We got DeAndre Swift. Randy, you know what I got? I got like 30 yards out of DeAndre Swift. I got nothing out of Roma Dunze. I got nothing out of Keenan Allen. Caleb Williams looked like a rookie playing his first game. DJ Moore was fine. It was gross. The Bears defense played, and that kept him going. And then Will Levis, he was cooking at first, and then that dude fell apart. The fourth quarter, awful picks, fumbled it once. Ew, 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 ew. Tony Pollard had a nice run for a touchdown. There's my takeaways for this gross-ass game.
I would say if I'm doing a positive and a negative takeaway, my positive, and you and I were split on this. One of us was a Pollard guy. The other one of us was a Spears guy. And I know I was the Pollard guy. Nothing.
I was not a Spears guy. I have never been a Spears guy in my life.
Are you sure?
Yes, we just did our running back rankings.
How can you
Don't lie to me? You did a show with somebody else.
Very well could have been. We had a streak there over the summer where you and I didn't record together for like 4 weeks. So I could be hanging someone else's sins on you.
Yeah, that's what they get for being dumb.
But as bad as Will Levis looked, Caleb Williams looked worse.
He looked worse.
And
he was bad. And you can't be that bad with this many wide receivers. I know you're a rookie, but when you're the first pick
at home,
against
the defense that's probably not going to be very good. Those are the concerns. I'm not saying like I'm ready to ship Caleb Williams off.
No, of course not.
Down the road, but I will say he looked the worst out of all three of the rookie quarterbacks today. He looked worse than Bo Nix. He looked worse than Jaden Daniels, and neither one of those guys impressed. No. So his 22.3 QBR is probably going to be the lowest in the league, and he didn't even throw for 100 yards in a game they were down 17-0.
Yeah.
It's
bad.
And all those guys. Now, will he figure it out? Sure. You know, I would have fired Matt Eberflus before the season even started. He's look, the Colts defense hasn't been the same since he became the Bears head coach. The Colts defense was much better under Eberflus than it's ever going to be under Gus Bradley. And we have better players now. But he is not a head coach. He does not understand offense. I think he made another bad hire as it relates to the offensive coordinator. This puts a real damper on people who think Caleb Williams is I put him in my top 10. I got to be honest. But this is why you don't get head over heels with overpaying for guys who are unproven. I think putting him at 10 or wherever we had him when we did our ranking show, I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. Because you gotta respect the pedigree. We treated Trevor Lawrence the exact same way.
No, and he's got time. And he's got time to live up to that. It is one game. But the problem is every time you get these dynamic prospects that want to come into the league and everybody we talk about them all the time. Superflex 101, boom, 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 boom. First round pick, Heisman Trophy winner. Everybody just wants to act that as soon as they get into the league, they're going to continue that success. And the NFL is a different league than college football. It's not even in the same universe. It is an entirely different sport that they are playing.
Well, I will go to just the preseason. And every year, I know the preseason's fun. We've been like 8 months without football. And
the Bears were undefeated. They were ready.
You're just so hyped up. Don't fall in love with the smell of preseason farts because it gets you every single year. It's a fart, and you're trying to convince me it's perfume, and it never is. And
just like Eddie Murphy told me in Delirious that people like the smell of their own farts, Bears fans loved the smell of their own preseason farts.
I'm not going to beleaguer this any longer, but like we lived through this last year with Kenny Pickett. He was the preseason All-American. But if you're struggling with your dynasty game, maybe you could use the Dynasty Dominator.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from PlayerProfiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side. Prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
It certainly is. $5. $5 will get you the Dynasty Dominator app. It would also get you a month of our Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Warzone. Let's get into the next game. Let's go Panthers and the Saints, Jerry. Take away from that game.
Chris Olave. Randy, if I told you the Saints, let's play this game. If I told you the Saints had 47 points and I told you that Derek Carr was going to go for 200 yards and have 3 touchdowns, what did you think Chris Olave was going to do? Because I bet
not
you would
2
have
for
guessed
11.
not 2 for motherfucking 11. What the hell is that?
Well, in fairness, he did have the touchdown call back.
Yeah,
Cool. But
if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, it would be Christmas every day.
I completely agree. It's one game. My big takeaway from the New Orleans side was this is the offense that I wanted to see. Because Carolina, their offense looked horrible.
Yeah, it did.
Looked horrible. Absolutely dog shit horrible. But that's a pretty good defense. And for them to hang up 47, I tweeted this out. It's not really my dynasty takeaway, but like, is there an easier 20 PPR point running back in the league than Alvin Kamara?
Yeah.
So smooth. A nice little 83 on the ground,
Looks
picked up
good.
5 catches, fell in the end zone. It is it's like a no-brainer. Like, I don't want to say he's Rodney Dangerfield for those that are old enough to get the Rodney Danger. I get no respect. But like compared to like Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, who are basically, I think Barkley's one draft class ahead, like 2018, and Alvin Kamara, man, he just does not get the love anymore. He used to, just not anymore.
Yeah. Xavier Legette, he got 4 catches, so at least he showed up. That was a nice thing.
Deontay Johnson was a steamy pile of dog feces.
Yeah, he sure was.
Goodness
And that's,
gracious.
when Bryce Young throws for 160 yards and no touchdowns and turns it over a couple times, you're going to look bad. Bryce Young, I was holding out hope that maybe he'd be like a little stash. No, he's not. Also, this is Jonathan Brooks' backfield. The running back, Miles Sanders was your leading rusher, and he wasn't even good. Chuba, Miles, get the hell out of here. When Jonathan Brooks comes back, put that dude in.
Yeah. So are you on LinkedIn? Does Jerry have a link? So I do. I haven't done much with it. I think the profile picture on there is like 10 years old or something. Like I'm not that young anymore. But they have a thing where like if you're like unemployed or like you're in the job market, and like they put this little banner underneath your picture that says open to work. Someone took Bryce Young's picture and put open to work under it that said Bryce Young's LinkedIn tomorrow. Yeah. I'm not doing it justice, but that dude looked terrible.
It was bad.
Terrible.
It was bad. Derek Carr looked like what Derek Carr's gonna.
I've always been a Derek Carr. I don't want to say fan, but I've always thought the talent was there.
100%.
Again, would you agree with this with this next statement? You ready?
Shoot.
There are very few Patrick Mahomeses out there.
Yes. Yeah.
There are very few Josh Allenses out there.
Yeah.
There are very few Lamar Jacksons out there. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So if there's very few of those, and we agree with that point, wouldn't it be fair to say that so many of these quarterbacks really need the right offensive play caller for them, whether it be the head coach or the OC? I mean, we've seen it with Jared Goff. He struggled when Jeff Fisher was his head coach. He got McVay, looked good, got Ben Johnson, looks good. Clint Kubiak running the Shanahan-McVay offense is just going to treat Derek Carr real well. And for everyone who's getting excited about Spencer Rattler, hold your horses. But the team that was supposed to have won the NFC South was the Falcons. Their betting total was 9.5 wins, and they looked like shiza today against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jerry.
Yes, they really did. And that sucks for me because I am a big Kirk Cousins fan, and I invested in him and his pieces pretty heavily in the offseason. I mean, Drake London looked bad. Kyle Pitts got you a touchdown. So the truthers were happy. And Jerry was a little happy because I got on the train a little bit this year. Bijan was not efficient. He got enough work to make it worth your time. So, I mean, in the passing game, he did good. So, I mean, he was good. Kirk Cousins looked bad. 2 bad picks. Not even remotely good. Justin Fields gets sacked a bazillion times again, but not the worst he's ever looked. Not the worst he's ever looked. No touchdowns, of course, but he was fine. Najee Harris gonna get a ton of work. Never gonna be sexy ever. George Pickens looked good. I think George Pickens is nice. I mean, he was growing on us a little bit late in the offseason. Didn't want to buy into the hype, so I was a little skeptical at first, but I think he's going to be a nice piece that should be fine.
I don't want to go as far as to say I warned you on Drake London. And again, I like offenses. I like coordinators. I like that correlation. I like it. But I told you, Jerry likes Drake London more than I do.
I do.
It is that he's not Cooper Kupp. He's not Puka Nacua. He's not a Justin Jefferson type wide receiver.
No.
I confirmed this with some friends of mine who are way more into scheme and fit, and I just didn't see it. Kyle Pitts, he caught the touchdown, great. He caught 3 passes, big deal. I want to say this: Justin Fields he was like one of my flips. They're probably going to go back to Russ, but by the way, Russ wearing his entire uniform while he was listed as inactive is next level Russ. My man was there wearing shoulder pads and and listen, I appreciate you being on the sidelines, Russ, but I will just tell you this. So we saw Justin Fields make DJ Moore have his best season last year. Can we agree to that?
100%.
I believe, at least from a touchdown standpoint, last year, Cortland Sutton had the best year of his career. So it feels like it's safe to say, regardless of who's the QB in Pittsburgh, Pickens is safe.
Yeah.
Volume's going to be there. He's going to do well. 7 targets, led the team. My guy, Pat Freiermuth, had 4. I mean, comparative to the rest of the tight end landscape, very, very solid, 4 for 27. But in a game that was like, dude, they were just hitting nothing but threes. I mean,
yeah, that was a boring game to watch. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, the Bears game sucked to watch. So did that one.
He hit so many threes. I thought he was dating in Ohio. Let's go to Florida, sunny Florida. Well, they have a lot better than threes. Dolphins and the Jags, 17-20. Tyreek Hill got detained. He went full Scotty Scheffler. If you know, you know. Went full Scotty Scheffler on his way into the event, and but the Dolphins pulled it out. Jerry, what are your takeaways?
I don't know what it is about Trevor Lawrence when it's a big moment in the NFL, but goddamn, does it just never go well? Like they were in control of that game for a good chunk of it, and then it was just nothing. And why? And Travis Etienne fumbled right on the doorstep, right on the goal line. You idiot, killing me, dude. Brian Thomas, he looks like he's built for the league, which is good. Love that. I mean, Tua did well. Not the best completion percentage, but got tons of yards, got you a tutty. That's what you want. I mean, as far as the running backs, though, that was a little concerning. Did not see tons of rushing opportunities for the guys. Devon Achane scored, which is a good thing.
Yeah, but he was hella involved in the passing game. That's one of my bigger takeaways. I will say this: there are some guys like
I don't know. I think the thing that concerns me is with Tyreek Hill and with Jalen Waddle already, how many times is he going to have a 7-catch game?
Well, so far going through all these box scores, I believe Tua leads the league in pass attempts so far. We still got a couple of games to go, but 37 attempts and he completed 23. So he didn't exactly set the world on fire, but he got the job done. I agree with you on Trevor Lawrence. I like Trevor Lawrence. I gave him the same deference that I gave Caleb Williams coming into the season. His balls shrink up to the size of raisins in big spots.
He's like in that tier 3 now, and that's just where we have to accept him. He's a
QB2. He's a dynasty QB2.
He's what Jared Goff was his last couple of years in LA. Like, just never going to be exciting. Maybe you'll get a couple games where he's got you 2 touchdowns. Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs is so good. He's fine. Like, if you have him, you're probably not getting rid of him because you're probably not going to be able to profit off of him. But he's just fine, Randy. And it sucks that he's only just fine because that's not where we thought he was going to be. But keep this in mind, Caleb Williams lovers, we've been here with Trevor Lawrence, full circle.
And I wanted to like Doug Peterson for Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. He used to have more, oomph to him, but he felt like another guy, kind of like they did today with Callahan with Tennessee and the Bears. They got up 17, and all of a sudden they started thinking they were going to take the air out of the ball. And dude, this Miami offense is too high powered to be able to just take the air out of the ball. 17-point lead is not safe with the Miami Dolphins. I don't think they're going to be a great team. I'm actually a little bitter that I'm going to Las Vegas and I'm going to miss both the Monday night game and the Thursday night game because I'll be on airplanes. But it is what it is. Got to work. Got to pay them gimmicks they send in the mail called bills. I'll tell you, I have Travis Etienne pretty high on my running back rankings.
Me too.
Do you know what their carry, each guy's carry number was?
Yeah, they were the same. Him and Tank.
12.
Yeah.
12 each.
Tank did better.
Jerry, I'm reading the same box score you do. So I'm not ready to overreact to week 1. And that's probably the biggest takeaway from everything is it's week 1, guys. A lot of these guys haven't played a lot of snaps. A lot of these guys are coming back from injury. But definitely some eyebrow raising in that game from a dynasty standpoint. All right, Chargers, Raiders, Jerry. Chargers came out 22-10. I'll give you mine real quick. This Raiders offense is buns, as the kids would say. Buns, cheeks. It's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. Now, I know we're dissatisfied with the Carolina Panthers. Can I say that I think this offense is probably worse? And they have dudes. They have dudes. And now I know my boy, the mustache, Gardner Minshew. He had, a good number of yards. He had 257 yards, 25 of 33. Solid day. But Zamir White, 13 rushing attempts for 44 yards. I mean, just cheeks. And then real quick on the other side, I get why people are still nervous about Justin Herbert. That would be the biggest take. Oh, I'm going to let you because I bet you I know yours. I bet you I know yours, and it's gonna be summed up in 3 letters. Go ahead, sir.
J.K. Dobbins, buddy. Oh my goodness gracious, brother! Welcome to the NFL, buddy. Great game. Love to see it. And what's crazy about it is Gus Edwards got more carries than him. And he got 11 carries for 26 yards, which is dog shit. And J.K. Dobbins went for over $130. That number is going to change going forward. So J.K. Dobbins is your RB1 in a Jim Harbaugh offense. That said, Randall, this is still the man who has had catastrophic injuries. So while he is healthy, he should be very good in this offense. He should absolutely not be traded for to be a integral part of your team. If you can get him for a value, by all means, go ahead. That's not going to happen this week because everybody that's got him is going to be holding on to him so tight. So I love to see that. I'm with you on Justin Herbert, though. And as far as the wide receivers, Ladd scored, which is cool. But honestly, he had about the same role in the offense as Quentin Johnston. So that should tell you everything you need to know about that passing game.
Yeah. Interesting game. Again, not too worried about it. I will just say this from a dynasty perspective, which is what we're doing here. The running back of the future for the LA Chargers is not on that team.
True.
J.K. Dobbins, between the fragility and just the amount of time he's been in the league, Gus is dust. You put a T on the end of Gust. From Gus, he becomes Gust. Gust is dust. So the RB of the future is not on there. So if you're going to go out and try to acquire J.K. Dobbins, maybe you bleed silver and scarlet, and you're a Buckeye. Don't get off your feet. I think he'll be here for a good time. I just don't think he's going to be here for a long time. Broncos, Seahawks, Jerry. Thoughts on this one?
I mean, Kenneth Walker's still good. That's for sure.
And he's still hurt.
Yeah, well, and I've gotten like 70 notifications from Sleeper. So if they could piss off at any point and stop sending me those, that would be great. You know what, Randy? I would love to shit on Bo Nix because, well, you love him. So, I like to humble you a little bit, but honestly, the things that I saw, there was some catastrophic rookie mistakes that looked awful. But there was some flashes of, things I wanted to see. I think he'll be fine, just like Caleb Williams, but it sucked to see. As far as the running backs are concerned, I wanted Javonte Williams to be a thing. That's just not going to be a thing. And I'm going to stop falling for it. Like, good God, Jerry, what the hell are you doing? Gross. And then as far as the Seahawks, yeah, Geno's Geno. It's Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker's the guy. DK Metcalf did absolutely nothing. Love that. But that's going to happen. That's going to happen 5 or 6 times. It does every year. And there will be one week where he absolutely wins it for you, and every other game he'll get you 80 yards or 60 yards in a tutty. They were themselves. They look like they're themselves. That was the most Seattle Seahawk game ever.
My guy, Bo Nix, did not agree. My big takeaway from the Denver side, I think Bo Nix will be fine. And it's the same reason I'm not overreacting to a lot of guys, is because I think the defenses are always ahead of the offenses this time of the year, especially when you don't play a bunch. And I believe in Mike McDonald. I believe he's a really good defensive mind, and that's a team loaded with talent on the defense. So I'm not going to be super worried against Bo Nix. I will say, if you like Cortland Sutton like I do, 12 targets, just couldn't connect. But I'll take solace in the 12 targets. Good days ahead. You know what I want to do when I have a little chuckle on, Jerry? Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Everybody was like, it's JSN season. It's JSN season. To his credit, he caught both of his 2 targets. But when you go 2 for 19, I'm going to plug the soundboard back in.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
What is that? What in a game that they were like behind early?
Listen
2 targets. 2.
Zach
2.
Charbonnet had the same amount of catches, more targets, more yards, and had a touchdown in the passing game.
Well, hold on. Let me read you the pass catchers who had more targets than Jackson Smith and Jigba. Tyler Lockett, Zach Charbonnet, DK Metcalf, Noah Fant, Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker, the guy who supposedly can't catch passes either, had the same amount of receptions as JSN.
What I'm again, it's one game,
but it's not.
But he's not drawing the number one corner. He's not drawing Patrick Surtain.
No,
He's not. And that's the best you could do. I will also say that Geno, he had a decent fantasy game. He saved it with that one rush for 31 yards and a touchdown. He saved. I tell you, one of my predictions earlier in the offseason is that, Geno gets benched at some point for Sam Howell. It's going to be ugly. It was a win. I think Geno would have been on real thin ice had they lost this game, but we'll never know. I don't have a lot from Dallas, Cleveland. I still don't know who Dallas's second pass catcher is. And dude, the biggest takeaway from a dynasty standpoint is Deshaun Watson. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I wanted to believe what we saw back in 2020, but guys, we had a different president in 2020. We're going to go the entire, and this is not a political take, so get off my nuts, but we've went the entire Biden administration with Deshaun Watson either being suspended, sitting out of his own volition, and just not being good in an entire presidential cycle. So, I mean, I'm looking for give me 3 games in a row of goodness. And I don't care if I don't care if the next 3 games he has 10 touchdowns. I do not care. He is gone. He is cooked. And so is Cleveland, by the way. When you have to play that guy, you're cooked, Jerry. That's my takeaway. If you're in dynasty and you're cooked.
Yeah, he looked bad. I think better days are ahead for Amari Cooper. He had 9 targets. There were so many bad throws. He finally got a dime over his shoulder that would have been a touchdown, and it went through his hands. It was like he was surprised that it was actually a good throw and didn't know how to handle it. Jerome Ford got a lot of touches though. Wasn't the best with him, but I think once Nick Chubb comes back, I think he is absolutely 100,000% going to be the focal point of this offense, as he should be. But in the meantime, Jerome Ford is fine. I'm with you. Deshaun Watson looked bad. He has looked bad since he came back. The Deshaun Watson of DeAndre Hopkins in Houston is so gone. Running backs in Dallas are who the hell knows what. Everybody behind CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, that injury looks like it's probably not good. Doesn't?
Yeah, that looked like an ACL. That really felt like that. That looked like an ACL.
Look like it's good, and that sucks because Jer's got quite a bit of Jake Ferguson.
I thought Jake Ferguson had top 8 maybe even top 5 at the position upside, given that there's not a lot of other guys.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then Jerry Jeudy, he caught a touchdown, and then he came out with a hamstring.
Yeah, well,
and then and Njoku got hurt too. And then Brandon Cooks got hurt. At least he came back in the game. This game was just ugly, but man, there's nothing uglier from a dynasty perspective than Deshaun Watson. That might have been, out of everything that we say, that how many times have we said don't react tonight, Jerry? Several, right?
Yeah.
This is one you feel free to overreact to.
Yeah, well, because it's not just today. Today is not the only storyline of this. It's since he came back.
Oh man! Then we have Mike in the chat saying Watson just might need a massage. Boo this man! Boo this man!
Ending.
There's no, if you have Deshaun Watson in Dynasty, you're not getting a happy ending.
No, you're not.
All right, last game: Tampa Bay hosting Washington. Jerry, what was your big takeaway?
Jaden Daniels is gonna run a ton. And we talked about it, and I'm gonna steal something that you said. If you're gonna be the running back that runs a lot like this, you're gonna need to win to stick around. And that offense didn't look like it's ready to win. Terry McLaurin was not involved. Austin Eckler wasn't used until very late. Brian Robinson is the most boring running back in the world. He's like Zamir White plus. Jaden Daniels, fine. It wasn't overly great, but the rushing is going to make where you took him worth it. The question is how long is it going to last? Because if he doesn't win football games, by this time next season, well, not this time next season, but by next season, his roster spot is going to be in question, just like Justin Fields was in Chicago. And then with the Buccaneers, Rachaad White is a pass-catching phenom. Mike Evans has one of the largest ding-dongs in the history of all of mankind. And Baker Mayfield. So we talked about Deshaun Watson. You bozos. Deshaun Watson out here pooping his pants the same day and the same time that Baker Mayfield is throwing 4 touchdowns and almost 300 yards in a 17-point win. Whoops. Yeah, you guys screwed the pooch on that one.
Yeah, I don't want to steal someone else's bet, but someone on Twitter goes, Cleveland sure could use a quarterback just like Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
I'll hit a couple of things with this game. Yeah, you kind of leaned into my take a little bit with I'm just drawing a blank here on Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I mean, it's great. He's gonna be great for fantasy. It's kind of like the opposite of Stroud. Stroud can have a great game for the real NFL, and for the most part, it's pretty boring for fantasy.
Yeah.
Whereas Jaden Daniels is looking rough for the real NFL, but he looks great for fantasy.
See, listen. He didn't.
I don't know if the passing was his
fine.
passing is better than Justin Fields. All right, you're
100%. 100%.
I mean, he completed right at 70% of his passes.
Yeah,
but took a couple of horrible sacks.
Yeah, and some of them were very bad, trying to escape.
That's the thing. And then I like the rushing. He can't be the team's leading rusher. He can't have 16 rush attempts for 88 yards.
He can be the team's leading rusher. I don't want to see the 16 attempts though. I'm with you. I need that number at 9 to 11.
Part of that came from they were way down in the game, and the Buccaneers were more than content to let him run around. 100%. And that's why he'll be good for fantasy, but he won't be great for the NFL. All right. My takeaway was, Jerry, would you say Bijan Robinson's getting a lot of love?
Yeah.
And I would say justifiably so. But explain to me through 2 years, and it's one game in year 2, the difference between Bijan Robinson and Rachaad White, except a big shit pile of, players in between their ADPs.
Yeah.
I mean, I pulled up the box score. Rachaad White, 31 yards rushing, 6 catches for 75 yards, 16.6 PPR points. Bijan Robinson, 65 rushing yards, 5 catches for 43 yards, 16.8 PPR points. I don't think people do it intentionally. I don't think people do it intentionally in that they have like this hypocrisy to him. It's fine for Bijan because he's Bijan, but we have concerns about Rachaad White. Dude, Rachaad White's a good pass catcher, and my final takeaway from this game is that I was concerned with Dave Canales going from Tampa Bay to Carolina, what the impact was going to be. I know Mike Evans had the 2 touchdowns, but man, I got to be honest. I really liked my boy Chris Godwin going 8 for 8 for 83 and a tutty. Very nice, very nice. So
he looked good doing it too. I'm gonna be honest. I was sort of off the Chris Godwin. Nah, he looked good.
I don't want to say he's only 28.
Yeah, which is crazy. I feel like we've been talking about Chris Godwin for 15 years.
Well, there you go. These shows will probably we're going to have to figure out how to make them shorter. We have some new segments. I don't know that we'll go game by game every week.
We had to week 1 though, because you're setting the foundation.
You have to, Jerry. Well, listen, we have timed this almost perfectly. We are at the end of the show. We're getting ready to go into halftime, so I probably got a couple of minutes of nonsense, Jerry. Is there any nonsense going on in your life?
I mean, other than the Lions, I mean, not really, just because fantasy started. So I'm getting back in the rhythm of setting everything. You know what sucks? You know what I forgot about this game that sucks? Setting lineups, buddy. When you've got damn near 30 teams, setting lineups is an hour task. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Worst part, the drug that is drafting always gets me.
I think two Rodney Dangerfield references in the same show, but he said the best part of kids was making them. That's the same thing with dynasty lineups.
Yeah,
The best part of dynasty lineups is drafting them, and that startup draft. But then once that's over, you got to tend to them. You got to make trades. You got to do ad drops. I will say, I think one or two of our patron leagues are best ball. But I think that from a dynasty standpoint, that could be the move, as the kids say. Like, what's the move? I think best ball dynasty might be the move.
But if I can't trade in it, I don't want it.
Well, no, dynasty will always have trades.
Oh, dynasty best ball does. See, I've never been a best ball guy.
It's just I will say it takes some of the skill and the work out of the game. Just knowing that you're going to get the best aggregate of your, roster for the given day. So on the back end of your bench, if you we'll use Isaiah Likely. Like, it wasn't likely, see what I did there? Wasn't likely that a lot of people were starting him on Thursday because Mark Andrews, right? How many number 2 tight ends on a team actually get started in fantasy football? So I understand why they would. So, but in a best ball format, you would have gotten Likely over just about everybody else. I'm pretty sure he is your tight end 1. Well, Jerry, I don't have a whole lot of nonsense, man. Didn't have to work the Colts game today. I gave my spot away like a good leader. I run the Colts fundraising gimmick thing for our baseball organization, but I gave my spot up. Someone else wanted it, and I was like, that's fine. I can totally stay home and watch football all day, but I also had to pack for Vegas, which also has a huge component to it. But yeah, I'll miss Monday Night Football. Bummer. Miss Thursday Night Football. I'm going to get to play like 3 hours of poker, so I got that going for me, which is
good.
nice.
I mean,
get to eat good on the company dime.
Good college football weekend this week. I didn't think Michigan State was going to win. They pulled out a win. Michigan got trucked. That's always going to be good for me. Even my Ames brothers, Iowa State beat Iowa last second field goal. It was an absolute shit show at work because we're like a sports bar facility. Iowa State. It's the biggest thing on the calendar in the state because it's Iowa, right? Like what other teams you got? You got
to get that game in before the harvest.
Yeah. It's like the Iowa State Fair, the rodeo, and then the Cyhawk game. So it was a busy day. It was a good game. Made it entertaining.
See, that makes total sense as a guy who as a guy who grew up with friends and who worked on farms. As a probably does not surprise you guys who have been listening for a long time with my humor. But yeah, there's no way that those, Iowa State folks can afford to take a Saturday off in mid to late October. That's bill paying time right there, baby. You got to get that corn in the week too. Got to get the corn in the ball. Mike, and by the way, shout out to Mike and the plumber, primarily Mike and the plumber. They kept the chat going. We understand a lot of people weren't in the chat tonight because they are watching the Lions and the Rams game. So we dig it. We know the chat will be lit once we get to Wednesday night. So, but Mike said, doesn't it make it require more skill because you have to work on trades and waiver wire in Dynasty Best Ball? I think you got to trade regardless. Like, I don't think you have to trade any more. I think you have to just trade different. You have to trade different. Like, you're more than happy to give up those, like last year, like Adam Thielen, who's good for, a very boring stat line every week. You're willing in a best ball format, maybe like in a start your lineup, you'd rather have a couple of those boring guys, but I want those splashy guys. Like Rashid Shaheed today was a splashy guy who came through and splashed. So I think they're both difficult. I just think that in season, I think if even if we considered a tie in terms of toughness, I like not having to set my lineup, Jerry.
I mean, it's a pain in my ass. I'm still not going to switch to best ball because I'm stubborn, but it does suck. I'll give you that.
Well, we are going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys, but what will be cool is Wednesday night. It will be stacked. Again, 7 to 8, Jason Allwine. 8 to 9, this is all Eastern, by the way. 7 to 8, Jason Allwine. 8 to 9, Jerry and myself. 9 p.m., Bradley Stalder. On Wednesday nights, Player Profiler. You got to tune in. You got to lock in Wednesday nights. If you're a truck driver, if you're listening to this at work, maybe just Wednesday night TV sucks and you just want to have your one AirPod in cruising around the house, not paying attention to your family. We support that. We totally support that. Check out Wednesday nights starting the 18th. But Jerry, I'm going to wrap this up so you can go watch the rest of the Lions game.
Sounds good. Go Lions, baby.
Go Lions, baby. We'll see you guys next Wednesday, the 18th.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.